Hey guys, Chris here. Doing a quick little video on the first Dune book, Jodorowsky's documentary that was put out in 2013 on the failed attempt at his version of Dune from 1977, as well as David Lynch's Dune from 1984, and the current Denis Villeneuve Dune Part 1 and Part 2. This is just going to be my quick thoughts on the book and the movies. If you've never read the book, I would highly recommend it. It is a great science fiction read. It also deals with a lot of political and religious themes. And it does it. Frank Herbert has managed to do it in such a way that it is a deep, thought-provoking book. He did make a series. There was Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and then I believe God Emperor of Dune. And I would highly recommend reading the first book if you do get into it. Maybe check out the other ones. I have yet to read the other ones, but I do plan on picking them up at some point. I may do like I've done with Dune, in order to kind of reread it. I listened to it through Audible. No, I am not sponsored by Audible, but they did a great production with the book series on Audible. They have various voice actors doing the different characters, so it is easy to understand who everyone is and keep up with what's going on. This is probably one of the best sci-fi series that was put out. But just continue watching. Let me know what you think if you've read the book, and definitely pick it up. So let's go on with this. All right, let's talk about Jodorowsky's Dune. This is a documentary that was made in 2013 for a 1977 version of Dune that Alejandro Jodorowsky was attempting to make. It is a fascinating documentary into the approach that Alejandro took to trying to make Dune. Most filmmakers go into the studios, they pitch an idea for a movie, and then based on that idea, typically movies are greenlit. In the case of this one, however, the approach they took was to make the storyboard with all of the art, the entire film, the way they wanted to make it, from beginning to end. The book is fairly massive in size. Based on the documentary, there are only 2 books in existence. Alejandro Jodorowsky has one of them, and then one of the other ones was left for the studio. Which studio, they never explain. However, I have to believe that it was probably Disney is the one that has it, because at the end of the film, Disney was the only studio that was going to take a chance on this version of Dune. However, they wanted to go with a different director. They didn't want to use Alejandro Jodorowsky to make it, and part of the reasoning why is because they wanted an hour-and-a-half long film, and he wanted to make an art piece, and his art piece was going to be between 12 and 20 hours long. Now, whether anyone would have watched that movie, who knows? I can't tell you for sure. What I can tell you is this specific documentary is incredibly entertaining. It's informative. You get an incredible look into the mind of an artist and what he was wanting to do with the science fiction series. So I would highly recommend it. Do yourself a favor, check this one out, and let me know what you think. Hi guys, Chris here. I just finished watching Dune, 1984, David Lynch's version. If you have never seen this version before, it is a trip. In order to condense the entire book and all of the political subplots and the religious themes and everything that they can into this movie, they do it as a incredibly off-putting monologue at times. It doesn't quite manage to capture the essence of the Dune book completely. I think that's one thing that Denis Villeneuve has managed to do with the newer Dune Part 1 and Part 2 is he's managed to capture those themes much better than this version did. However, this does feel like a David Lynch movie. It is entertaining. It's bizarre. It's really kind of wild to sit there and watch it and see some of the stuff that they did for a PG-13 movie at the time. This one kind of pushes the boundaries a bit more than the Denis Villeneuve version does. They also, it wasn't, unlike the book where the voice was something that was trained upon the Bene Gesserits, and Jessica taught her son Paul to use. This one they kind of changed it up, called it the Weirding Way, and everybody's able to use the voice, which was only used by a select group of people in the original book. So there are slight changes throughout it that don't quite match up with the book in a sense. But I would highly recommend, if you get a chance, watch this one. It has everything that you want in a sci-fi movie. The special effects are a bit outdated. The shields, for example, are kind of blocky, and it's fascinating to watch what David Lynch did with this movie. Especially after watching the Jodorowsky's documentary for his version of Dune that he was going to make. To see this version come out, after that one having failed to get made and everything, it's kind of amazing. There are moments at which I would say you can tell the studio kind of jumped in and messed around with this one. But yeah, definitely check this one out. And let me know in the comments what you think about this one. So let's talk about Denis Villeneuve's Dune, Chapter 1. It's a slower movie. It is setting up all the exposition that comes with the politics, the thematics of the Dune book series. It does a wonderful job with it. In an interview, Denis Villeneuve did say that he wanted his Dune stories to focus on the Bene Gesserits, because they go on past the first Dune book, whereas the Mentats, which are introduced in the first Dune Chapter 1, this is the only time we get to see them in his version. And it makes sense from a movie making storytelling standpoint. Why focus on a group that you're really not going to see much of outside of the setup for the series? This is a entertaining movie. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a slow one. So if you're having a hard time sitting down watching this because of how long it is and how it's kind of a slower moving film, you can always take a break. Watch an hour here, a half hour there. As long as you can kind of find, there are spots within the film that you can find kind of a breaking point where you can step away from it and come back and finish it. It's like most books, you're going to read them either chapter by chapter, or you're going to read them all the way through. If it's really grabbing your attention and it's catching you and making you read it, watch it, whatever the case may be, this is definitely the way to go. But I would definitely recommend watching this one before you watch part 2. Okay, so now we're at Dune Part 2, Denis Villeneuve's final chapter in his 2-part Dune movie series. A fantastic movie. It's much better paced than the first one was. Timothée Chalamet really shows why he works great as Paul Atreides in this one. Austin Butler does a great job as Fade Rathau, the psychotic nephew of the Baron. Just overall, this is a much better movie than the first one was. And a lot of it is due to the fact that the first part was there to set everything up. Without that first part, this part might feel hollow because it doesn't really have any setup for it. It goes straight into a lot of the action, a lot of the religious thematics that it's been building up to. But it is a fantastic movie. And overall, I mean, from the book, which is a fantastic science fiction book, to Jodorowsky's documentary, the 1984 David Lynch Dune, and then Denis Villeneuve's Dune Chapter 1, or Part 1 and Part 2. I would say if you have the chance, watch them all. They're all entertaining movies. It might be a little bit harder to get through Dune Part 1 than David Lynch's 1984 Dune. But all in all, I mean, these are just fantastic movies to sit down and watch. And they're fantastic in their own right. They're all entertaining. Jodorowsky's Dune is a great look into... It's a great look into the mind of an artist who used film as an outlet for some of his art. David Lynch's Dune 1984. David Lynch has made some really, really strange movies over the years, along with a fantastic TV series in Twin Peaks. So, overall, I would just highly recommend, if you have a chance, check them all out. And if you have seen them, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And I'll catch you on the next video. Have a great one.